Yet another contract extension in Allen Park.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we got another week for you, Locked On Lions, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you, your host here on Locked On Lions. Going on 8 years. We love it. We're so excited to be back and getting you ready for the 2024 campaign. It's Monday, July 29th and a Tuesday, July 30th. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast today. The Detroit Lions had their first padded practice. We'll tell you all about it coming up. Plus, big news, Taylor Decker is back for the long haul. Love how the Lions took care of Big Deck, their left tackle. We'll get into that coming up momentarily as well right here on Locked On Lions. The broadcast today brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Make every moment more. As we know this, the sports stop kind of sporting right now. We got the Olympics, we got baseball, but that's it. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, Matt Derry Facebook fan page. And thank you for those of you that subscribe and watch for free each and every day on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Shout out to our everydayers who are out there that watch and listen. I will say what I said on Friday to some of you today on Monday. All right. I apologize for Thursday's little rant at the end of the show. It won't happen again. We're going to stick with sports, stick with the Lions, stick with the positive stuff. And I'm going to bring you some great guests coming up. We got Ian Eagle, the voice of the NFL on CBS, one of them, coming up on Wednesday with the Lions going to New York next week to have practices with the Giants. We got to get Ian's take on the Lions, and he'll preview the Giants too because he's in New York. We got Jason Ross coming up next week too, the TV voice of the Lions for the preseason. So a lot to do in the next coming weeks as we get you ready for September 8th. By the way, DJ Reader, not sure he'll be there September 8th, at least on the field. We'll get into that as well. Nice scoop from Kyle Meinke today at mlive.com. All right, here's where I want to start. Taylor Decker is going to be back for the future, for this season, as we know, in year 10, but also for the next 3 years after this. As Brad Holmes went on the Costa and Jansen with Heather show this morning on 97.1 The Ticket. And great job by them to get Brad Holmes to admit, hey, we got Taylor Decker signed long term. It's like, wait a minute, what? Brad Holmes breaking the news on the morning show on the Cricket. A 3-year deal, $60 million, so $20 million a year for you math whizzes out there, with $31.5 million guaranteed. So Taylor Decker's going to pocket $31 million for sure, but he gets to stay. And here's the thing. The Lions have said that the Lions walk the walk and talk the talk. When they say we want to draft, develop, and keep our own, and for the veteran players, we want them to stay, we want to build something, that's what they've done. Think about it. You go into, it was months ago you went, well, the Lions need to re-up Penei Sewell. They do it. Lions need to take care of Amon-Ra. They do it. Lions have to keep their quarterback, Jared Goff. They do it. Now it's Lions need to keep Taylor Decker. Maybe not a Pro Bowler. Maybe not the greatest left tackle in the league, but a solid starter for 9 years here that's built up equity in the organization. He's a captain. He's a leader. And he wants to be here. That's a guy you want around. And he's really good. I can count on one hand when Taylor Decker's really been beaten badly in 9 years at left tackle. When he's at left tackle, your quarterback's rarely going to get touched when it comes from the blind side. Plus, he's a really good run blocker. And guess what? He wants to be here. Taylor Decker had to go through some tough times under Jim Caldwell. Some good, but some tough. The awful experience that was Quinn Tricia. Could have easily jumped ship. Could have easily asked for a trade. Could have easily said, get me out of here. Stayed. And now he has been a part of something for the last 3+ years with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, where he's like, I don't want to go anywhere else. This is where I want to be. I want to finish my career and play all of, it would be 13 seasons if he plays out this contract and stays healthy in one place, Detroit. When has that happened? Who was the last guy to play 13 years here? Don't tell me Don Muehlbach. Okay, fine. Who else? He got emotional on the podium today, talking about how this is where I want to be. These are the fans I want to play in front of. I want to bring a Super Bowl to Detroit. His daughter, Daisy, he held her up on the podium. These are the kind of feel-good moments we've never gotten before here in all of these years. Things are changing, man. It is so good to be a Lions fan. And I'm not telling you Taylor Decker is a top 5 player on the team. The roster's pretty good. There's better players on this roster than Decker. But you know what? Find me a better leader. Find me somebody, he took Frank Ragnow under his wing. Ragnow's become one of the best centers in the league. He's helped Penei Sewell. He's coached up. Jonah Jackson used to rave about playing next to Taylor Decker. And so he wanted to keep his roots right here. And they took care of him. They found a way. They'll maneuver the cap. They'll figure it out. And yes, you can't pay everybody, but Taylor Decker got paid today. Extension, $20 million a year starting next year. And here's the other thing. You want to talk about good organizations and how they operate. It's when ownership, general manager, coach are all on the same page. There's a communication level, there's a process, and they work together for the common goal. That is also something that's rare in professional sports. There are more lousy franchises. There are more shaky front offices, bad ownership. I'll refrain from talking about the other professional teams in town, but let's be honest. Sheila Hamm's best owner in this town. It's not even close. But it was Taylor Decker going to Dan Campbell at OTAs and going, hey, where are we with my deal? I want to stay. Can we make this happen? I want to be here. I don't want this to be a distraction. And Campbell went to Brad Holmes, who likely went to Broadwood and Sheila and everybody else, and said, let's make this happen. And they did. They got it done. Remember the Darius Slay issues years ago? Remember, look, why did Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson walk? Guys aren't walking anymore here. Guys are staying. Guys want to play for the Lions. And I love this. I think it's a great day for the organization. And I love how Brad Holmes kind of announced it on the radio this morning, and Decker spoke, and it was a fun morning in Allen Park and a well-deserved pat on the back and contract extension for Taylor Decker. So what's next? Alim McNeill. Brad Holmes was asked about it on that morning show this morning and said, yeah, it's about time. They want to keep Alim McNeill here too. And with DJ Reader hurt, we're going to get to that a little bit later. They need Alim here, and he wants to be here, and they'll figure it out. I bet you he stays. I bet you they come up with a way of doing it. I think 3 at 60 for Decker is pretty good. He's a really good left tackle. Sure, he's up there in age. Sure, he's reaching age 30. So what? He feels like he's in his prime right now and has more years to play. But notice Decker and McNeill, Brad Holmes ain't messing around. He's not arguing that they can't not have these guys here because you win up front. And Decker's been a really good left tackle for a long time. Alim McNeill has now established himself as clearly the best interior lineman on the Lions, defensive lineman, and a guy that has to stay. And Brad Holmes did not mince words this morning on the radio saying it's about time. Hopefully they can get a deal done with Alim and keep him right here because this is a contract year for him as well. But good job by the Lions and everybody. It's on the same page, doing it right. So you got to love that. Have to love that. All right, coming up next, padded practice today. The pads were on. Pads were popping, as Justin Rogers wrote today. We'll get into that coming up momentarily right here on Locked On Lions. But first, if you want to bet on baseball, there's crazy stuff going on with the trade deadline, meaning that you're not like tonight, you're not sure who the Tigers are going to pitch with no Jack Flaherty against the Guardians and everything else. Bo Brisky and who else? You want to put some money down and make it interesting? Do it at FanDuel. All right. We all love sports. We don't want them to stop. Right now, playoffs have wound down. We got just baseball. We got Olympics going on. Fewer games, certainly. No WNBA either. So all the sports aren't sportsing like we want them to. But FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want. All you got to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime you are in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Head over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer. Seriously. Watching baseball right now and some Olympics, you want to throw some money down, do so at FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Back on the program, it's a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Ian Eagle, the great Ian Eagle, going to join us from CBS, NFL, does college basketball as well as the preseason games for the Jets, NBA on TNT. He is the man. He's going to join us Wednesday on the show. And I mentioned before, Jason Ross, who was an upcoming broadcaster, loved him last year doing the preseason games for the Lions on TV, will join us likely next week as well before we get ready for the Lions and Giants in the preseason. A week from Thursday, August 8th. And I'll have the practice sessions with the Giants Monday and Tuesday in New Jersey. And then play some preseason football. Cannot wait. By the way, Hendon Hooker injured his ring finger in OTAs. That's why he had struggled in OTAs, but says he's healthy now. So that is a good thing. All right. Nothing better than day one. And the fans were there as well today. Nothing better than day one in pads. Lions players in pads today for a padded practice. So some day 5 observations. Talked to some folks today before I came on. And a guy that is making his presence felt and did so again today in pads with his physicality, moved some of the backup offensive linemen around a little bit. Yes, I'm going to say it. Levi Onwuzurike. I try not to laugh when I mention Levi because for 3 years, we've done nothing but kind of chuckle at his lack of health and lack of production. But Levi Onwuzurike flashed today for your Lions during padded practice. Now, again, this is when you find out who's got it and who doesn't. All right. Yes, you could do your thing in the helmets and the shells, but when you put the pads on, you kind of separate, who's ready, who's being physical. And that's how the Lions play. Lions are an extremely physical team, and everybody was out there today except DJ Reader. And Levi Onwuzurike is a guy that right now, let's say if the season were to start tomorrow, he'd be lining up alongside Alim McNeill and starting at one of those defensive tackle spots. He's earned it. He did well in OTAs. He's starting off training camp playing well. Kind of moved some of the offensive linemen back today. Made some plays against the run. And from all indications, that run defense today in pads when you're going 11 on 11 and you're playing football, the run defense today was very stout. It was very solid. And again, that's a big spot for the Lions that we saw last year when they were getting to the next level and they were going from 9 wins to 12. The run defense was so much better and really improved, really consistent all year. We knew the pass defense was not. The secondary at times was trash. The end of the year, everybody's best receiver was going for over 100 yards. Heck, CD Lamb, he went for like 200 against the Lions in that fixed game down in Dallas. But run defense was really good last year. The linebackers stepped up. And, guys like Derek Barnes right now. Derek Barnes is getting into a scuffle every day. And you know what? Dan Campbell doesn't care. Dan Campbell loves what Barnes is bringing to the table. Derek Barnes is going to be on the field a lot this year. Could be an edge rusher at times. Could be a Sam linebacker back in coverage or reading and reacting at other times. But Onwuzurike and Derek Barnes have really looked like they've improved so far as we're sitting here on July 29th. Now, again, we've got over a month. We got 5 weeks still to go. But those are two guys whose names I'm hearing a lot. And you love to hear that. Those are guys at the peak of their careers right now looking for contracts. Levi's up after this year. Derek Barnes is a guy that is in big competition for playing time. Wants to play. Doesn't care where it is on the field. Make him an edge rusher. Fine. Put him in, make him a linebacker in a read and react situation, a Mike linebacker, a Sam, whatever it is. Outside, inside, Derek Barnes just wants to be on the field. And there were times last year you saw Derek Barnes and you went, man, he looks good. Other times, like the whiff sack on Dak Prescott, where you went, oh my God, how did you not make that play? Only cost a touchdown, but hey. But Derek Barnes seemingly has done pretty well. Undrafted free agent safety, Maurice, Morice Norris. Remember that name. Kid out of Fresno State. Safety spot in terms of depth. We've talked about this. Who knows who's going to be back there after Joseph, Branch, and Melifonwu. Right? There's Brandon Joseph, not Kirby, but there's Brandon Joseph. There's Sione Vaki. There's others. But this kid, Maurice Norris, today forced a fumble and has made some plays so far in training camp. Don't know a ton about him. Just know that Brad Holmes, for some odd reason, every year there are UDFA, undrafted free agents, in the secondary that Brad Holmes just seems to identify and find, whether it was Jerry Jacobs and Bobby Price a few years ago, whether it was Stephen Gilmore last year, Khalil Dorsey, Solomon Thomas. Now this year, Maurice Norris is a name to watch. And Amik Robertson had a couple of pass breakups today. I know I'm standing here for the defense. I'm going to get to the offense in a second, but Amik Robertson is making a lot of plays too. And that's another guy that wants to be on the field a lot. Tons of trash talk, but in the pads, couple of pass breakups today. Gilmore was one that had an interception today, but Robertson has looked good. And that's a guy that wants to be on the field. And again, if Branch wants to play some safety, and he has said, I'm good with going back there, and Dan Campbell has said it, that would mean that Amik Robertson would be on the field as a corner no matter what the situation. On offense, I've said this now for a couple of weeks, and I'll continue to say it. But the guy that everybody's talking about is Jameson Williams. J-Mo is confident. He's having fun. He's loose, making catches. And you can just see Jared Goff looking more for Jameson Williams. And again, that's natural because Josh Reynolds is gone. But maybe Reynolds is flying the coop and the Lions electing not to re-sign him was what Jameson Williams needed. Kind of a freeing a bit of J-Mo. But he has been really, really good in training camp. Went toe-to-toe with Terrion Arnold a few times today. Sometimes Arnold won, some of them Williams won. But, all in all, I think the Lions are expecting big things from J-Mo. We don't talk about Sam Laporta a lot because we know just the guy's money. He's become one of the best tight ends in the league. Gibbs and Montgomery are going to do their thing. We talked last week about Jameer playing receiver at times. But if J-Mo's doing his thing, man, that will free up so many other people on this offense and make it even more unstoppable than it was last year. So I think that's pretty cool. All right. There is one concern when we're talking about injuries and players on the field. Only one. Everybody else is healthy. Everybody else has been out there, which is nice to see. But one guy that has not been out there and told MLive's Kyle Meinke he's not sure he's going to be out there for the opener is DJ Reader, whom the Lions need. Lions need DJ Reader. And we'll get into the specifics of that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. But first, we've been telling you for weeks about the Gametime app. It's an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Tonight, you want to go down and watch Guardians Tigers? Tigers aren't playing too badly. I know not a great weekend against the Twins, but regardless, if you want tickets and it's last minute, download the Gametime app. You can get them right there. I'm going tonight, and I got my tickets for like nothing on the Gametime app. Killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, which I love, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Seriously, pick out any specific games or matchups that you want to attend. Go to the Gametime app. They'll take care of you. All right. They got great deals on tickets. You're going to see the price right away up front. No added fees at the end of checkout. They don't do that at all. Easy to find, and buying MLB tickets for every kind of event in your area, not just Major League Baseball, concerts, everything else too. They've got on Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So not once, but twice in his career has DJ Reader had an end of the season torn quadriceps. Those are tough injuries to come back from. Tore his quad last year, and now as he's rehabbing and trying to come back, DJ Reader was stopped by MLive's Kyle Meinke, the always dapper Kyle Meinke. And Reader told him, I'm not sure. Meinke asked him if he's going to be ready for the opener, September 8th, Sunday Night Football against the Rams at Ford Field, which, by the way, is going to be an electric atmosphere. And DJ said he's not sure. He's out there with his teammates. He's watching, but he just can't practice yet. And when you come back from this kind of an injury, if you're 23, 24, that's one thing. But when you're 30, like DJ Reader is, it's going to take a little while to come back. And for him to admit he's not sure if he's going to be ready to play in the season opener is a definite concern. We mentioned before, Onwuzurike is playing well, but it's training camp. You're going up against your teammates. Broderick Martin today had a tackle for a loss on a running play. Great to see. Is John Kaminsky going to get any better? Is he going to make the team? Josh Pascal's more of an edge right now. They've got the kid from Canada, Matthew Betts, they're inserting in there. There's others they're working out. Makai Wingo, the 6th round pick. But boy, oh boy, DJ Reader was signed to a 2-year, $23 million deal for a reason. He was signed this offseason to come in and be that plugger in the middle, but also get to the quarterback a little bit and be a dominant defensive tackle next to Alim McNeill to better this defense. And that was probably as good of or as big of a free agent signing from not a re-upping, but of a signing of another player from another team Brad Holmes has had. A couple years ago, DJ Reader was ticked off he didn't make the Pro Bowl and thought he deserved it. We had Dan Horde, the voice of the Bengals, on a few months ago, and he just said, what a loss this is for the Bengals. He loved DJ. But unfortunately, coming back from a second, because he had one a few years ago now again, this has happened, torn quad, it's going to take him some time. And for him to admit here on July 29th, he's not ready, he's not sure he'll be ready for September 8th, it's a little concerning. Because you really have to have DJ Reader on this team and on the field for this club to take that next step. You really do. Second half of the NFC Championship game last year, what did we see? We saw the Niners interior front defensively step up their game, bother Jared Goff, force the Gibbs fumble. And that's the kind of defense, Aaron Glenn wants to have, and he wants to have better players on that interior. A year ago, the Lions were trotting out practice squatters to start opposite of Alim McNeill, Quinton Bohanna, Benito Jones. No offense to those guys, but DJ Reader is a step above. He's 2 steps above. So a little bit concerning, certainly, definite question mark here about, can they get him on the field? Because if the Lions are going to take that next step and get to the Super Bowl, they're going to need a healthy DJ Reader out there. God bless Onwuzurike, but he has not done what DJ Reader has done in his career. Yeah, we can sit here and, lather up in the preseason and in the, padded practices at training camp. But what have you done when the big lights are on? What have you done in games that count? Reader has done a lot. And the hope is that he'll be back, certainly, but he was being honest. He's just not sure. So hopefully we get better news on him in the coming days, and eventually he can get out there. You're not going to see him in the preseason games, but if he can get into some practices beforehand and kind of just get back out there and be ready September 8th, that would be pretty good. Matthew Stafford, by the way, coming to town with a restructured contract. And hey, Jordan Love, highest paid quarterback in all of football. Man, I got in the wrong business. I should have, when I was a kid, instead of wanting to be a broadcaster, to be on the radio, I should have just started throwing a football like 2 years old or 3 years old. Not that I wasn't playing sports. Man, if you're a quarterback in this league and you have a half a good season, and again, Jordan Love is good. All right, I think he looks the part, but highest paid quarterback in the league after half a good season, God bless him. Good for him that he got that money. All right, another show tomorrow. We got shows all week. Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Ian Eagle is going to join us on Wednesday, working on some other things for this week as well. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Please, if you've not subscribed, please do, and check us out on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel as well. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there. I text and talk to so many of them all the time. Plymouth Jim Mulhern, Michael Spath, all of our everydayers. Joe Allen, Chris Druin, Noah Taluki, Colin Eads, everybody that hits me up all the time. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there. We are back again tomorrow on Locked On Lions.